the Kevin Spacey classic. And the skeleton key, with the only shot that I love in that movie is when Gina Rollins falls face first on a table and just clunks on it and falls off.
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, this is his best movie.
I think the reason is it's just it's fun, right?
It is fun.
That's right.
And then, yeah, I mean, it's just, and then it you know, you get into the whole competition between the two, between Dade Murphy, and Kate Libby, you know, and that kind of ups the ante. Like shortly after Joey copies that garbage file, they start, you know, kind of falling for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start off like the whole hacker war competition, to mess with the Secret Service. So that starts to like really pick up the intensity between the two, and you really see their love blossom.
And then they got married.
And they got married shortly after.
And she got with Billy Bob.
Yeah, I still never understood that relationship.
Hey, he's my homeboy, man. I love Billy Bob Thornton.
It's just weird.
We're best friends, man.
Does he still have her tattoo?
I don't know. I worked on a... Hey, so anything else you want to talk about this movie before we get into our hackers list? Or no, people who like to look at computers list?
Boy, I could go on and on about this movie. I mean, we already touched on it a little bit, the dialogue, but I love like all the one-liners in this movie. They're a little corny, but I think they work so well. And a lot of it is from the Plague. Like when the Plague and Dade Murphy, you know, they first meet through like an internet Skype chat, like what we're doing, but back in 1995, which I don't think was possible back then. But, you know, Dade Murphy says like, hey, you mess with my mom, I'll kill you. And Plague responds, kid, don't threaten me. There are worse things than death, and I can do all of them. Like, there's just so many good one-liners in this movie that I just have too much fun with it.
I like when the Plague destroys Johnny Lee Miller's boombox, and Johnny Lee Miller just goes, shit!
Yeah, he turns around and smashes it with a bat.
I mean, that's a good response, though. This kid's a teenager. They treat these children, they're all 18 years old, and they treat them like they're adults, but these are kids in this movie.
They are kids.
But I just love, well, they're all 30, but I do love when, shit! I don't know why, like, when does this happen? When Johnny Lee Miller looks at a guy and goes, blow me. And then the guy looks at him and goes, thank you.
Thank you.
Was that Plague who said thank you?
It was Plague, yeah.
Johnny Lee Miller goes, blow me. And then there's a long pause. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm literally looking at it right now on the IMDb quote page.
I think the guy who played Plague, I have his name up here, I'm scrolling back up to it, Fisher Stevens, you could tell he loved, I mean, he probably didn't know if the movie was going to be any good or not, but he never had roles like this, so I bet he really embraced it.
Oh, I bet he did too. I love all of his machoism, you know, as they, to sum the movie up at the very end, our hero hackers, you know, they hack the Gibson again to try to prove their innocence, to get more information and expose the Plague for setting up this salami slicing scheme. So they're hacking the Gibson and implanting their own viruses, and there is the Plague and you know, Penn Jillette, you know, fighting off the viruses and trying to keep the Gibson computer online. You know, he's just going on and on. You know, he even like calls Dade Murphy on the payphone telling him to give it up and calls him a pissant. And instead of like a computer, I always found it funny, instead of like a computer at the Gibson, it's just like a big series of circular buttons that they're pushing.
Yep.
Like, what are the commands behind those buttons and how do you know what they're doing?
And he's trying to sink boats.
Yeah, trying to tip over the oil tankers.
And there's a thing in here that I liked. Oh, they're like giving stuff flu shots, and then Lorraine Bracco, she doesn't understand any of it, so she's the one going, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, this is a flu shot. These are rabbits. These are what things that spread." So I guess it was smart to have her in there because
kind of explaining what's going on.
Like, she had no idea what was going on, so then they had to explain it to her. It's like in Vikings season 1 when they brought the priest back, and then they had to explain everything to the priest. I mean, it's a narrative decision, but it works.
Yeah. We got a rabbit in the system. Give it a flu shot. Rabbits, kernels, cookies. Tell me what's going on. And then there they get it. And then there they have to explain it.
I want to be the extra who just, because I think a guy explains it to her that's not Fisher Stevens or Penn Jillette. Like it's some other guy in there.
Oh, here you go. Hal, who is Penn Jillette, there's a new virus on the database. Margot responds, what's happening? Hal says, it's replicating, eating up memory. What do I do? The plague says, type cookie, you idiot. I'll head them off at the pass. Like, well, what's the pass? Like, that's not... I'll just like it, and again, him being mean to his minion.
And he's asking it, Penn Jillette they say there's no dumb question. He's like, I haven't dealt with this before. How do I do it? That's a smart question, and he gets called an idiot. Like, he could be lying. He could be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to pretend. I'm going to unleash the cotton candy glob. Like, like he's asking questions that you should ask during a hack when you have your boss there.
At least what we would think they would ask.
And he's staying cool about it, too.
Well, yeah, he's not the one, he probably has no idea about the money scheme either. Yeah. I doubt he's in on it.
So he's just doing his job and just getting insulted. Thank you.
That's the plague.
Thank you. That pooper line is stupid, though.
Oh, it's spandex. It is a privilege, not a right.
I like that her boyfriend comes up to him and calls them Leopard Boy and the Decepticons.
Yeah.
And also, I do, so the guy in there, Freak, who's played by Renoli Santiago, watch the movie, watch Hackers. So it's weird, it's for free on Amazon Prime, but there's a Hackers for rent, and then there's a free one. That's very sneaky from Amazon Prime. Because I thought I had to rent it, and then I looked down further, I'm like, hey, there's another Hackers. So I almost paid to rent it, then I realized that there was a free one.
Yeah, I almost got caught in that trap, too.
But when you listen to Renoli Santiago, Freak in there, he speaks exactly like Mark Wahlberg does. I'm freaking. What's with all the wind? Like, the glass can become sand. Like, just listen to him in it. And I think Mark Wahlberg stole his cadence from Freak in this movie.
He may have. May need to contact Wahlberg and go into Wahlburgers and ask him about it.
And then get knocked out?
No, well, the only reason he would knock you out is if that's what he actually did and you exposed him.
Imagine that. And I would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for that Hoffmeyer. For movies, films, and flicks. But just listen, like, there's a lot of similarities between Santiago and Mark Wahlberg when they talk, so I love that.
That's probably the only time that's ever been compared.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. I think but that, it's a compliment. It's good. All right, you want to get into our people who are good at looking at screens list?
Yes.
So this originally went to a hackers list, and then so back in 2016 or 2015, I did a random awards. I'm like, best looking at a screen award. And it went to Alicia Vikander, her character Heather Lee from Jason Bourne. That movie, that's the worst Bourne movie by a butter mile, a country biscuit butter mile. But she's really good at looking at screens, because 90% of her performance is looking at a screen in that movie.
And chances are it was probably a green screen. It was just probably a green slate on there.
Yeah, so
with the VFX later. So she really had to act.
And she wasn't even typing. She was just behind people who were typing. So she had to look over Hank Hacker's shoulder and oh yeah. They're on 22nd Street. They're going to 3rd. Look at that street.
I will say the actual typing in Hackers is not good. Anytime you see the fingers moving over a keyboard, it's really bad.
But it's that world.
It is that world, but I mean, even back then, these guys trained for weeks to learn how to type on a keyboard before, and it seems like they really struggle. And I remember back in elementary school, doing the words per minute typing, learning how to type. And it's I think these guys would fail all those classes.
Yeah, but the keys were different, and you have to be more patient as a hacker in this world, because these are the elite.
They are the elite, but they know everything.
Yeah, but they're doing everything right, though, so they must be... that's the way they type in this world, Tom.
Not slow.
You know what they needed? They needed Vikander from Jason Bourne looking over their shoulders.
Or maybe the hackers that we're about to mention.
Yeah, so I got so for a supervisor of all the hackers, I got Heather Lee, Alicia Vikander. I mean, she'd be a good supervisor, no nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she would... I could picture her working a 20-hour day. I'm not going to leave because Vikander's still here.
That's a good one.
Yeah, a lot of. I mean, I guess I can. I'll put her picture in the post because you're just going to like it. The 10 best people who are great at looking at computers.
That's pretty good.
Who do you got?
So I didn't necessarily create it into a list from like what I would like a preferred list, and I had trouble with it, so I kind of almost had to break it down to movie universes. But if I'm going to say like my overall supervisor, it's probably got to be Thomas Gabriel from Live Free or Die Hard. He's really good at looking over shoulders if he doesn't kill you. But I think all the hackers in the Die Hard movies are top notch, from Gabriel to Matthew Farrell to Warlock and even Theo from Die Hard 1.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to work for Gabriel because you'd just die.
Yeah, but he is an effective supervisor.
But see, Vikander won't kill you. And I didn't break it down either. I just kind of came up with that on the fly. But who would you rather have, Vikander or Oliphant as a supervisor if you're a hacker?
Oh, Vikander.
Okay.
She's better to look at, too.
Well, but she wouldn't murder you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Oliphant, man, he's a handsome guy. I just think he would give you withering looks. Like, he would string together something like, you stupid raccoon, dummy, idiot person. Like 4 insults in a row that just land.
Well, yeah, then he'd kidnap your daughter.
Yeah. And then he'd leave you in a trailer and get you shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, he's very good. And I like Warlock a lot in that. He had a sweet setup, though. He had a nice chair.
He did. He's the type who could have that wipeout setup in his basement.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably would put it in, but then he would hate everyone being in his room because he seems like a total control freak.
Yeah.
I'm freaking. All right, so my next one is a twin. It's a twin duo, right? And it's Lyle Selby, and it is well, he's uncredited, but so it's Lyle Selby and Seth Green's other guy from Enemy of the State. Seth Green's the hacker in Italian Job, and he's a hacker in Enemy of the State.
Nice. I have an Enemy of the State guy as well.
Because and all he does is look in a van, Seth Green, an Enemy of the State. And then in Italian Job, he's just in a car hacking.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so I got twins. I got some Seth Green twins.
That's a good one. I have Brill from Enemy of the State, played by Gene Hackman.
Oh, he's a hacker in that?
Yeah,
oh,
I mean he was like an old like NSA operative, but he's still a hacker. Like he knows all that technological computer stuff.
And it's not lost on me that Gene Hackman plays a hacker.
Yeah.
The hacker Hackman.
So that's a good one. Yeah, so I've got him as number 2 on my list.
Oh, I like that. So next for me, it is Boris from GoldenEye.
Alan Cumming.
The only problem is I would put him in an office, like a separate office, if he was a hacker, because he would bother all the other hackers with the pen.
Oh, that's right.
Like
the clicking of the pen.
Yeah, he would be in a secured office away from everybody. I'd give him windows, but I would not if he decided, because he would just be boisterous and yelling at people and going aha.
No, I wouldn't even give him windows. He's in a cubicle. He's in a concrete cubicle with his computer.
Because how terrible it would be just sit next to him and hearing the clicks.
Awful. And he's such an annoying character, too. But he's a great hacker, but he's an annoying character.
Yeah, so I would put him somewhere else. I wouldn't want to deal with his clicking. But I'd put him on my team. All right, so who you got next?
I've got Neo, Thomas Anderson from The Matrix.
Oh, my gosh. You're going Keanu?
Yeah, I got Keanu in there.
Was he a hacker in that?
Yeah, he was.
In the first Matrix he was.
In the first Matrix. Well, I mean, technically in all of them he is.
Yeah, I guess you don't stop becoming a hacker.
Yeah, he's totally all up in his Windows DOS mode there in the... Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be DOS back then, but yeah, he's all up in those root files, copying files and folders for the White Rabbit people.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, imagine Keanu dealing with Boris.
He'd snap his neck or shoot him. Like he'd get 2 pin clicks in and then he's done.
All right, so my next one is Lowry, Jake Johnson from Jurassic World. I don't like the movie, but I'm a huge fan of Jake Johnson, and I just don't see Jake Johnson ever being a hacker because he's just loud and boisterous. Like I see him having trouble opening a beer can, let alone hack. But yeah, I would just love to have, because he's obviously good at what he does, to work there. So I would have him there just to kind of add some humor, have some fun, you know?
So you would have him over. Hold on, give me 2 seconds here.
The other character's name, her name?
I was gonna say the girl from the first Jurassic Park. It's a Linux system.
Oh, she nailed that.
This.
I was also thinking Sam Jackson from Jurassic Park, but I had already added. I've already talked about him in our Jurassic Park pod, so I'm